stand over here. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
If they could, how would
Welcome to the Comics Experience panel on breaking into comics. We have 4 panelists here today. John Barber on the end, an editor at Marvel Comics, editing Marvel Comics Presents, was editing all the Ultimate books until he recently shifted over and is doing Wolverine now, amongst other cool things. KHOI PHAM recently signed a Marvel exclusive contract as a penciler. He's penciled What If Spider-Man the Other, written by Mr. Peter David. He penciled X Factor for 4 issues, written by Peter David. And his short story about the Taskmaster just premiered last week. It just came out last week at Marvel Comics Presents. Last month at Marvel Comics Presents #2. Writer Peter David. Best known for Run on the Hulk and recently writing X Factor. And what else are you writing? Oh, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which we like to refer to in the office as That's Been Spider-Man.
I actually got that in my last issue. I couldn't believe that got in there. I had J. Jonah Jameson saying, I hate that effing Spider-Man. They told me it would never get into print, and much to my shock it did.
Steve Wacker. Not so quick, that guy. Danny Fingeroth, editor-in-chief of Right Now magazine, and recently published, where is it? There it is.
Thank you.
Disguised as Clark Kent.
June's Comics and the Creation of the Superhero.
Can you guys hear Danny all right?
Hello?
Yeah.
The microphone's not on. Okay, and then the
It's very weak. Yeah, you may want to actually consider turning on. Artists. That was not plugged in. Daha! Yeah, what do you daha? That's on.
That's okay.
No, yeah, this one sucks.
All right, go in, John. Let's just talk about it.
We'll stop between ourselves.
Comics Experience is a new company that we just started up. I've just started up, not that much of a week to it. Teaching classes on how to write for comics, how to draw for comics as a comic book artist. Incorporates not only the craft, but also how to network, how to build a career in comics. It's great fun, and they start the week after next. If anyone would like to sign up, please talk to me afterwards. We'll sign you up. It'd be awesome for you to sign up. You will not regret it. We also have a table downstairs if you'd like to swing by the table, and you can visit the website at, of all places, www.comicsexperience.com.
Which, if you look at the URL, which I checked out,
yes,
it says comicsexperience.com.
Comicsexperience.com.
That's subliminal, write it as lesson number 1, the subliminal.
Yes, there is no guarantee that you will get late if you take a class.
Oh, are you here? Yes, cool.
So our topic is breaking into comics. So I'd like to start off by a simple illustration that there is no one set way or no right way to break into comics. These guys don't mind very quickly explaining sort of how you got into the field. John, you mind starting?
Sure. I was self-published and stuff and was doing comics on the web for a while and actually wrote a book about web comics. I moved to New York with my now wife. Applied for a random job at Marvel, forgot about that. About a year later, Bill Jamis called me. He liked some of the stuff he'd seen, and he brought me in as first assistant editor. And eventually, I never actually worked with Bill Jamis, but eventually made it up to editor. So I really like the guy. So anyway, no, I'm just kidding. But there we go.
Cool. I took a little more circuitous route, probably not advisable. I'm actually an attorney, so I had in between jobs, had a year off, so I figured, hey, let's draw comic books. So I bought Understanding Comics, I bought Countdown to Wednesday, I just did a whole bunch of research. I had stopped reading for a few years too, so I went to the store and bought a bunch of stuff. I probably did a lot of research before I started drawing anything for about a month, 2 months. So then I started drawing some panels, went to a convention, which would be my advice number 1. You go to conventions, that's how you really get to be immersed in the business. Went to conventions, bought a table at Artist Alley, talked to people, went around, met people, got advice from folks. After 3 years on the circuit, Marvel came around and said, hey, why don't you send us some samples? So I guess somebody was watching somewhere between the websites and the convention circuit, and they said, this guy's still around. I guess he's pretty serious about this. Got the samples done. That was about a year and a half ago. Then got some work, and then here I am.
I broke in through means that will be probably of absolutely no use to anybody. I got a job in the Marvel Direct Sales Department. That's the department that is essentially responsible for getting the comic books into the stores, because at the time, my career path, my career track was in publishing sales. Writing was something that I did on the side for fun. It never really occurred to me that I could make a living as a full-time fiction writer. And during my time at Marvel Comics, I started to make contacts with and inroads at editorial simply in the course of my doing my job every day, because it required a great deal of interface with editorial. And what happened was I started submitting stories here and there, which didn't go anywhere, but eventually an editor named Jim Owsley, actually an assistant editor, became an editor, and he took over the Spider-Man line, and he invited me to pitch some stories for Spider-Man, which I did. That led to a stint on Spec Spidey, which then led to The Incredible Hulk, because nobody else wanted to write it. Actually, neither did I, but it was the only book I was being offered. And I figured I'd do it for 6 issues, and 12 years later. At any rate, one thing led to another, and I realized that I could indeed make a living at writing full-time. I contacted DC and said, hey, if I went full-time freelance, would you guys be interested in hiring me as well? And they said yes, so I gave notice to Marvel, and took work from DC, took work from Marvel, and just, really never looked back.
I will use the microphone. Anybody here with this thing? Okay. I took a similar route to the gentleman on the end. His name I'm blanking on. John. Sorry. I took the John where I knew somebody who could get me in the door to interview for a job at Marvel, and I'm sure that my resume was immediately thrown in the trash as soon as whatever office I handed out to was given. But then somebody I went to high school with worked there, which one of the advantages of living in New York. And months later told me, said, I'm going freelance, you want to interview for my job, which was an assistant in what was then called the British Department. So I interviewed with Stanley's brother, Larry Lieber. And I learned an important thing from that interview, which was when you go for a job interview, wear masking tape, not just on one side of your glasses, but on both sides of your glasses. Because that's what I did, and I got the job. And that was an entry-level production manager, editorial assistant job, mostly of a reprint line. We put out something called Captain Britain as well. And from there I was sort of in the mix. And even when the British Department went to England and I stayed here, I sort of had the Danny Fingeroth Memorial job, which was a shared assistant between two guys who hated each other. It was an interesting experience. And eventually I got into the editorial mix and through that into writing. And it's a long side of it. But essentially it was being local, being local, getting on a tour, meeting a couple of people, and then getting an entry-level job.